Well, I realized that we are starting to get a lot of canning videos, but we have a lot of brand new canners that don't know the difference between a water bath canner or a pressure canner. And hey, this is a good time to make a Christmas list too. If you're new here, my name is Amy Cross, and this is the Cross Legacy, where I teach families how to save money on groceries. And most of the time we're talking about produce that goes in your refrigerator and your grocery cycle, but occasionally we're talking about some canning projects or long-term food preservation. So that's what we're doing today. Okay, so there are two different types of canning. There's water bath canning, which is just a large stock pot like this, and I'll go into a little bit more description in just a minute. And then there's pressure canning, and pressure canning is different than having like an Instapot. This is a pressure canner, not a pressure cooker. So your Instapot is a pressure cooker and it won't do the same thing. So with water bath canning, you can do anything that's high acidity, which normally means any fruit and tomatoes, which are fruit, but people never know what to call them. So you can water bath can all of those items. So if you're wanting to start out canning, doing something like applesauce or making jam, you can make those in smaller size jars, just in your regular soup pot. You just need to make sure that you have some sort of trivet at the bottom. So in this water bath canner, it has a trivet like this. It's a rack like this that goes down into the canner. And then you need to make sure that you have 2 inches of water on top of the jars after you put them in. So it goes rack down, and then whatever size jar you're using. So if you're making jam, you would make it in a smaller jar normally. And that would go in here, filled up, all the things. But it has to have 2 inches of water on top. So some people do have stock pots that they can use instead of a canner. But I like this canner here. It will hold 7 quart-sized jars, so I can can 7 jars at a time. For doing things that are low acidity, like vegetables or beans or anything with meat in it, it needs to go into a pressure canner. This is an All-American 921. It will hold 7 quarts, just like this one. It will also hold 14 pint-sized jars, so 7 go on the bottom, and then there's a middle rack that you can put in between them, and you can do 7 more on top. So with the pressure canner, there are a couple different brands. I prefer an All-American. It is the most expensive. The price recently has came back down to what it was pre-pandemic. So if you looked at the price like a year ago and it was way out of your budget, you might be surprised when you go back and look at the prices now. So they are about similar, about $15 more than what I bought this one for. So that's a great thing that they didn't stay so high. But I love this because these lock. So as you're pressure canning, this builds up pressure, and some of the other ones that don't have these locking lugs, they can blow the top and it can be very dangerous. So that's why I chose an All-American one. It has all of these locking lugs that you put on here, and it makes it the safest canner out there. These all lock down and it's not going to blow its top. It has 2 safety features to measure the pressure inside. So there's this one that's a jiggler, and it will make a sound when it gets to the right temperature, and then you can also watch it here. So some of the pressure canners only have 1 kind of gauge on it, and I like being able to have 2. One I can watch and one I can listen to, so I don't get distracted when I'm canning, because it's really important that you're paying attention to the pressure levels that are happening inside your canner. So as I go through canning season, I'm trying to film more of these videos going through each of these items. Since canning days are such a long day, normally I don't have the film crew here with me. So sometimes you will get shorter clips of videos, and we are continuously upgrading those videos as I'm doing canning projects. Right now on YouTube, we are putting up canning tomatoes, which is a new one. We have canning peaches, mango salsa, and canning pears. So these are all water bath recipes that you can look up that we have on YouTube, and they'll probably be on a playlist. And then we also have green beans for pressure canning. So green beans is one of the easiest ones to start with if you're starting with a produce item, and I highly suggest that one. And then we have the recipe for baked beans. I think we also have ketchup and barbecue sauce on there too, which would be water bath, but it reminded me of the barbecue sauce when I said baked beans. And we have making stock on there also, and I'm going to be making a canning video that goes with the recipe of making stock. So these are some of the recipes that I make every single year or multiple times a year, and we always have them on our shelf available. In the description, we're also going to list some of my favorite books. Just because a recipe is put into a book doesn't mean it's a safe recipe. So all the recipes in these books are safe. And that is so important, especially when you're learning how to can, that you only follow safe canning guidelines and never follow a rebel recipe. So if you see something online that says it's a rebel recipe, you don't want to follow it. So whatever way you're going to start canning, you want to get the accessory kit for canning. And it normally comes with at least these 3 items. Sometimes it will come with more items that I actually don't ever use. So you have to have a jar lifter to safely put the jars into the boiling water and to get it back out. It always, every time, it makes me crack up. On Amazon, the model is holding it upside down. So make sure that when you're doing it, the colored end goes on the jar, and this swivelly kind of end, the black end on top, is what you hold on to pick up the jars. So it goes this way. And then this little tool right here is called a debubbler. So as you are filling things into your jars, you're going to tap down into the jar and try to get any of the bubbles released and everything the same level. And then on this little end, this little ladder end, it tells you what different head space you need. So it's an inch, quarter inch, 3/4 inch, etc., all the way down. And in the videos, whenever I'm doing a canning video, I show you exactly how to use this, but this tool is really important. And then funnels are lifesavers. So I have quite a few funnels, but they fit just right over the jar when you're filling them up, and you don't get spillage down the sides. And then this is called a spider. And this is really, really handy too, especially when you're peeling tomatoes or peaches and you're dipping them in the hot boiling water and trying to get them back out. This is really, really handy. So all of these items are on our Amazon storefront, and we're going to list everything down in the description for you. And if you're somebody that is brand new to canning and don't have your glass jars already, I kind of just suggest buying wide mouth jars. So I like the wide mouth quart jars and the wide mouth pint jars. These come in cases. Normally these are around $12 to $14 for a case of either size. So you can use either size of these. And as I am canning stuff, you'll notice we'll eat a quart-sized jar of peaches, and so I always can them in quarts, but pears we only eat smaller portions. So I kind of think about how many we're going to eat at a time for what size we can. Green beans, like these kind of vegetables, is another thing that we always can in the smaller jars because our family's not going to eat a whole quart of green beans at a time. And when you're canning, it's really important that you're always using a fresh new lid. So after you use the lid the first time for canning, you can repurpose this for your refrigerator or your pantry for dry goods, but you can only can with a lid one time. So normally a lid and a ring all come with the jars when you buy them the first time, and then you can get replacement lids in the little box of 12 or 24. This lesson was not to teach you how to can, it was to get you into the right track of which way you want to start. So make sure that you're checking out the description below. We're going to have a blog post linked, and all of the different recipes will also be there. So thanks for following, and we will be making more canning videos in the future.